Chronometry calibrated. The gateway will open in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Analyzing data. Likelihood of parallel universes now at 27%. Continuing analysis of the many worlds hypothesis.
2020 was the year that broke us. Everyone was living in their own reality. Nobody trusted each other. Nobody had the same information. And dishonest actors reigned supreme. It's hard not to look back at that time, not in horror, but as the start of the horror. Welcome, everyone. I'm Gayfesh. Joining me, as always, is the lovely Moss.
Hello.
And DemonMama.
Yes. Hello.
And today we'll be finishing our Ari Aster watch through with his most recent film, Eddington.
4 out of 4. 4, 4, 4. The man cannot miss.
Well, I know how you feel, but Moss, I'm very interested to know your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I liked this one. Just gonna assert that out the gate. I only got about an hour and a half into my second watch through this morning. I just got up a little bit later than I planned, but I feel like, that's when a lot of the subtle stuff happens, is in the first half, and I was like noticing and picking up things. So this is definitely one that I'm gonna have to revisit more and like pause and look at, all the social media posts and stuff like that. Wow, it was weird, I think, to have art that includes talk about the pandemic. Like famously, the Spanish flu is a time that is like kind of a black hole of time that people didn't really make art about it. So yeah, it makes sense to me that it would come up through Ari Aster in like I don't even know if this is a horror movie. It kind of doesn't.
It's not. I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, it's got some surprises.
Yes.
But definitely distinct, more of a thriller, I guess.
There's the distinction. I was wondering, I'm like, what's the difference between horror and thriller? And I'd said like more action and less like things meant to like scare you. Because it's not a scary movie. I mean, it might bring up bad memories of that time. And seeing that guy, the homeless guy walking around with a dead pigeon, I'm like, he's bringing them more than just COVID. Like they're going to get a new strain of bird flu.
It was very suspenseful. Yeah. I think, yes. and then I do think when people start dying, some of them are a surprise. I felt it in the moment where he was about to shoot the homeless guy. Like, I was like, oh, this is it. This is his, I'm going to absolutely lose it moment. I was very surprised by Ted Garcia, though.
Oh, yeah. That one took me completely. I wasn't even sure that it was Joe that had shot him.
Yeah.
I was just like, is just everything breaking down now? Are we finally at the breaking point where all of society is collapsing? Oh, no, it's just Sheriff Joe. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, no, Ari Aster's movies always are benefit from more than one viewing. And this one, especially because my first watch, I wasn't sure how I felt about this movie. I wasn't sure necessarily that I liked it. But on my second viewing and on like, looking at interviews Ari Aster had given about the movie and getting things a little bit more in context, I see it now. I have talked about how Ari Aster expects his audience to do a little bit of work in actually watching the movie that he made.
Yeah, that's fair. There's things that you could easily miss if you weren't paying attention. Yeah. Yeah.
But I also appreciate that in the vein of everyone siloed off into their own like information gardens where like nobody's working on the same set of facts, that he would end the movie in a way where you literally don't know what happened and can fill in whichever your perspective is. You can project that onto the masked Antifa super soldiers as to who they actually were. Yeah, that's a crazy movie.
It's a movie that like represents it's a depiction of everyone's pandemic era fears all being true at the same time in one small tiny town, and sometimes in really funny ways. Like I just love that like the riot in the town is like a high school graduating class in a small town, and that's it. And they're like, oh my God. And it's like one person's like, that whole scene is so funny. Like the riot scene is like one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie, where it's like the like stereotypical hippie guy stands up and goes, all right, everybody, down on one knee. And they all go, whoo, like in perfect like coordination at the same time. They do the little like down on one knee thing. Oh my God. It's just like, it's so funny. I don't know. There's so much about this movie that's like, okay, it's not a horror movie. It's a dread movie, which I would say is, I've said that about a couple of the Ari Aster things. Like he tends to peddle in dread more than outright horror.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a whole lot of like the moments. It's more just like, oh God. And the one that hit me the absolute hardest was right after the riot scene. He goes to the quote unquote town hall meeting at the Mexican restaurant, and good Lord, I knew immediately what he was going to do. And I was just like, oh God, it was just like all the pieces coming together in that moment to be like the self-fulfilling prophecy of just like a dumb guy who's been increasingly like driven crazy and driving himself crazy and ultimately making the decision that will just break everything. The hammer stroke that shatters everything. And it touches on like, again, it's like all of the 2020 moment things that people were freaked out about, where it's like, oh, so you've got riots and protesters and racism and false allegations and grooming pedophilia ? Like, it's wild.
And Russell Brand starting a sex cult.
I was literally just thinking about Russell Brand.
Like he even brings up the Bohemian Grove conspiracy theory. Like shit. I was just like, he didn't even say Bohemian Grove, but as soon as he just started talking, I'm like, it's Bohemian Grove. They're doing it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Also, like, can I just say Austin Butler, like, is he not a cult leader? He's got the bone structure for it. That's just like phrenology wise, he has the cheekbones of a cult leader.
Yeah,
you know?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. You can just see it, you know?
Yeah.
No. But that scene where he's first introduced like as a character, like it's so perfect. Where it's like Joaquin Phoenix's Joe Cross character, he's like asleep at the table, gets woken up to like three random people. I don't remember how many additionals there are. And then like
three extras.
His like wife is like in a trance. His mother-in-law is like freaking the fuck out. And then there's just like three people that you barely recognize. And the guy just immediately starts saying nonsense. It is like that, the delivery of all of those lines, the way he just like weaves inconclusively through various like highly emotionally charged subjects is like evil, it's like it's sticky and I can't even replicate it. It's just like it was so perfect. It's like I've met that type of like malignant person who's just like, oh yeah, like I have like I'm clearly not like able to like string thoughts together, but I have like a malevolent impetus to control others and rope them in. And so there's like this base charisma that combines to just make like pseudo religious bullshit. It's so perfect. And like, oh, I don't know. It was great. That scene. I love that scene. I love that whole scene. I love
the mother's reaction in that sequence because like our first introduction to her, she's fallen asleep watching, like conspiracy
numerology. There are real people like that.
Like it's
a really common one. Like
been deep into conspiracism. So you would expect once her daughter starts talking about pedophile cabals that she'd be all in on it. But it's the one thing that's actually real. It's the one thing that actually impacted her daughter. And so she has to be in denial about that. It's that's so frequent that you've got, I mean, like all these, how many Pizzagate people, like they were all MAGA. They all fell for Trump, who was literally like Epstein's best friend, but they don't see it. They want the conspiracy theory more than the truth.
Yeah, and I think there's another like element in this character of like
guilt.
Guilt, but also so there's this recurring theme throughout the movie of like highly charged, understandably emotional political issues being like proxies for people's like other like issues that they've got going on. And for the mother, I think it's like it reveals itself through the movie as like all of her conspiracy stuff is a matter of control. Her conspiracism is like, oh, well, like it's all centered around like, I need to be the one giving you the truth. You need to be you, my child, you, my child's husband, like whatever. Like you need to be coming to me for the truth. I need to be the truth presenter. That's what I'm doing. I found a role as this. And then she, of course, falls right into that at the end when suddenly Joe Cross is no longer capable of being anything but like a symbol. She's just like, now I have my control and I can filter this constant like churn of conspiracy nonsense into a form of control, not only of him, but also of the community at large, as we see at the very tail end of the film. Yeah. And so there's so many examples of like this like politics as like proxy issues. And I think the movie like literally opens with it, or not opens. It opens on the guy who's carrying the pigeon. Yeah. But like right after that, we see Joe runs into Butterfly, the Pueblo police officer at the very beginning. And like this is like where
the one competent character in the entire movie.
Yeah, the one competent like investigator. Yeah, for sure. And like the first interaction they have is over like masks, and they're like sitting in their car with their masks up, and he doesn't have a mask on, and they confront him over the mask. But they're not confronting him over the mask at all. They're in different cars outside. Like there's no risk of COVID contamination. It is the COVID contamination is a vehicle. Yeah, but it's like a vehicle for like this dispute between these two communities. The Pueblo cops are like, you don't respect us. You're on our area. We're going to, sort of enforce this respect. So there's all these like, and we see that through the whole movie. All of it is just these like proxies for other issues. Even the mayoral race is like a proxy for like perceived slights between these two people. Like all of it's nested.
Because it starts with the mask mandate. Ted is saying all of the right things about how, the reasons why you should mask. But then when he goes to confront Joe after Joe has announced his candidacy, he is not masked. And it is Joe who, sarcastically or not, enforces the 6 feet apart rule.
Yeah. Which also, that is so real. That moment is one of the most American moments I've seen, like, of this moment, where there's just like this, it's so common, the like, by your logic, like engagements with other people where it's like there is no longer even a refusal to engage with one another. There's just this like own the libs mentality of like, oh, well, by your logic, you're doing this wrong. It's like the popularity of that gif from The Boys where it's like, not very woke of you, or whatever that people use of like the Homelander shaking his finger. Oh, it wasn't very woke of you. That thing is like the by your logic shit is so, it permeates the culture. And I think it's starting to finally fall off because people are stopping like giving a shit about that type of like concern trolling. But oh my God, has it been around for a while?
The movie does a good job at pointing out people's hypocrisies. Like even as they're like ostensibly on, the more morally correct side, they're not always doing it for the moral reasons. They're often doing it for selfish reasons. You've got Brian, who honestly is my favorite character in the movie, who is just a complete void of a person who is just adopting whatever personality traits he needs to in order to get laid.
Literally.
It's Christian over again.
His arc is so perfect, like with getting the Rittenhouse ending and everything. Like it's so perfect. It's so on the nose.
The second I saw him come out with the gun, I was like, oh, they're gonna do Rittenhouse. Like, I knew it.
But like, also, I was cheering for him at that moment because I was like, oh, I'm so glad you were filming yourself doing that. Otherwise, they were going to blame the whole thing on that kid. And then you've got like the character of Mike, who I feel was not fully developed in the film. I feel like everyone in the movie is projecting their own worries and their own desires onto Mike, as if Mike is just a stand-in for the Black community.
Yeah.
Nobody treats him as an individual. Nobody actually like asks him what it is that he wants. Sarah, his ex-girlfriend, she doesn't see him as a person. She sees him as a Black avatar that isn't meeting her expectations of what Black people should be doing at this moment. So even though like, I don't think Black people, I don't think anybody should be a cop. So she's, confronting him on this, but like, she's not actually engaging with who he is as a person. And I also think because he's not that well developed outside of how other people are projecting onto him. I almost feel like Ari Aster is doing the same thing a little bit.
Sure.
Like, I feel like he should have gotten a little bit more of his own story, not just being the guy that everybody else is like, well, here is the black guy.
You know, and it's not just that. He also is kind of just a prop to get other things in. Like, how many times can we reference cryptocurrency through the black character? So like, it's like he's got stuff going on because, she's trying to get this shot off with the 360 no scope or whatever. But that's the other thing though, is just like, yeah, crypto over and over again. How many times?
I think like with his character, like I do think you're onto something. You're both onto something with how much is projected on him. I think the moment that, building off what you said, Gayfesh, like the moment where I think somebody shows like the most actual concern for him is weirdly enough Joe, when he's like, oh, are you okay? But even that is more like, oh, are you going to be able to do the job of helping me become mayor? But it's like the closest you get.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
There's concern because like he asks him, you okay?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And then like a minute later, he reiterates it, but yelling this time, Michael, are you okay? He's like, yeah. Because I think there's still that element of he's realizing, oh, we're at a social inflection point. This is the black guy that I know, and he works for me. I got to know that we're on the level.
Yeah, and also, and
he's like, not asking just because he's genuinely concerned. And when he promotes Mike points out that his dad had gotten there earlier in his life than he did. And there's also there is that element of, am I being promoted? Well, because he asks, he's like, did you see the news? And Joe goes, no. So because he asks, because he's like, are you promoting me because George Floyd just happened, or are you promoting me because I'm actually doing the job?
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say, like, because I think that Ari Aster is touching on like a very real person and type of person with the Mike character, which is just like someone who by circumstance lives in like the worst possible place to live for a moment like that, and is just a normal guy, but is completely blindsided. And like, of course, by the end, like what we see his character become is that he's become like a vengeance, like he's become possessed by vengeance, literally down to like he has like almost the stereotypical like facial scars where he's just like I'm and he's shooting like getting perfect aim, and he's just
got the
staring.
fucking Charlie Kirk shot at the end. This was before Charlie Kirk happened. But I just noticed wild. I'm like, he got the exact shot. So
and he's like, we see him just like staring dead-eyed at the fucked up body of Joe Cross at the end. So like we see a guy who's just a normal guy, and he has like political idiosyncrasies, like being obsessed with Bitcoin, which is like a totally real thing that people get into.
Yeah, because like, he's a young guy.
Yeah, and he doesn't have like, so he can't really be like, I don't know that he serves to be like projected onto by the movie in any more than any character is. Like an author or writer, they always make all their characters up, obviously. But like, I think that more it's just like, this is a normal guy who now has all this shit, some of which actually concerns him, some of which is confusing. And it puts him in this position of being like, oh, I'm starting to realize that they're going to fuck me. I am like in a bear trap, and I don't know what I can do about it. And in the end, like he does get like pretty much every character in the movie. He does get completely fucked. And, there's that sort of like cliffhanger ending where it's like, oh, is this guy going to end up taking out every single one of these people in the end? And I don't know. I like to think that might be the case.
Ari Aster has said that he is working on a sequel.
Oh.
So I assume Mike would probably have a more prominent role in there. I don't think we're gonna see Mayor Joe return, or maybe like a little bit, but there's not much that his character can do anymore because he's not really doing anything. And he said also that it wouldn't necessarily be like an exact sequel, but that he'd be using some of the same characters. The obvious choices, Mike seems like a fairly obvious choice, but also I don't know, maybe developing something more with the Austin Butler cult.
I think it would be interesting to make a movie about Brian. What's going on with him going forward? Okay,
well, he's in Florida. He's not in Eddington anymore, so I kind of feel like if he's going to do a sequel, he wants to keep that Western feel. You know, you got to have
That's a good point. I
the
do think that the
standoff at
perfect
town
setting.
square with the tumbleweed receipt rolling between the the sheriff and the mayor.
Yeah, it's like a perfect setting for suspense horror.
Yeah.
Okay, so Joe, I think that this character is like way more well-rounded than I feel like most male protagonists are.
Mm-hmm.
But it like also, I feel like with Ari Aster always comes back to kind of the same thing, but I'll get there. So Joe is a very loving person. He cares about people in his community. He's generous. And also he is like listening to the worst news that you can listen to, and like, you know, full conspiracy theorist. I think you're being ridiculous if you're saying you can't breathe in one of those paper bag blue masks that does very little to actually protect you. If you feel like you can't breathe in one of those, that's called psychosomatic, unless you had severe lung dysfunction. I feel like it's very rare that somebody could actually not breathe in one of those. So his character is like unlikable in that way. But I think every character is kind of unlikable in this. And I think that that's something Ari Aster does, is like people are sympathetic in some ways and they're really annoying in other ways. And there's like the small town cop thing where he's like, I know that my rival's kid is smoking weed, and I know that, and I'm going to just make a remark about it and not like bust him up. And twice he notices that the kids are smoking weed and he's just like, whatever, I'm going to leave it alone. And yeah, just like that kind of complex character who then just kind of snaps. And the reason that he snaps is because also he's a cuck. And this is a thing about masculinity in Ari Aster movies, that like the characters are struggling with their masculinity in a lot of different ways. Like, and that's true of Ted Garcia as well. Like, my wife left me, which I'm sus on any man whose wife has left him.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, so I just think that it's interesting, like observing the masculinity of these characters.
Well, and it feels like the two main character archetypes that Ari Aster has are women dealing with intense lifetime trauma and heavily emasculated Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
And so he just had them get married in this one.
True.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, okay, I wanted to say, like, Joaquin Phoenix's performance, I have, through this chapter, gained so much respect for Joaquin Phoenix as an actor. It's incredible how, like, not Bo this character is, even though, like, they have certain things that are similar between them.
Hard agree.
Like, he's just such a different character. In Bo is Afraid, you're like, you just love Bo and you want to, like, help him if you can. Like, it's just like he's such a, and this character is like, at first you're like, oh man, like I kind of get where he's coming from. Like, these people are being dicks about the mask, and they really did not have to rough up that old guy over a fucking mask in the grocery store. Like, that's just totally out of line. And like, you understand that he's got this like well-meaning but like, you know, poorly thought out like approach to a lot of things. But then you start to see like the repression that he has, and the way that he buries all of his frustrations and can't like let them out. And then when the pressure cooker of like the situation like starts to get to him, it explodes in the most violent and psychopathic ways possible. A guy who's just like, you know, he has this like what seems like a basic instinct to be like kind to others, and that just gets obliterated by a continuing like fall into just, I am so angry and so freaked out and
Powerless.
driven to like,
it's about control.
Yeah, it's like amygdala is being squeezed, and like, and so he becomes this just like, yeah, like I will take control by killing. And we see that he's like a really like, oh my God, there's this one shot where he's in his truck and you see his notes on the investigation. And that made me laugh out loud because I'm just like, damn, sick investigation work, bro. Like, it's like, oh, suspects ? With like 3 names in giant print on the page. And it's just like, he doesn't have this like ability to like plan or mastermind anything. He's kind of a stupid guy, but like his instinct is to go towards like killing like 3 people in rapid succession in cold blood. They go to lengths to show that all of his killings are done in cold blood until the very end, at which point it becomes reverse Rambo.
That whole sequence when he gets
It's literally reverse Rambo.
Just that gun, like that must have been like, that's not for sale. You can't legally sell those. That has to have been grandfathered in as a display piece by the shop owner. Like, Jesus Christ, you can't.
That said, gun shops do have a history of keeping in functioning condition heavy arms. Like, I mean, there's this whole gun festival that's called like Knob Creek in Knob Creek, Virginia, I believe it is. And it's like gun shops that have working heavy machine guns go there because there is a local ordinance that for the purpose of this convention allows people to go and fire like RPGs and heavy machine guns and light machine guns and stuff. So
that does
I mean,
sound
I'm
fun.
sure it's a crazy, I mean, I bet it's a fun ass time. Like I would probably be beaten to death there, but that's okay. Like I think that I would maybe not. Maybe the prevalence of firearms all around makes everybody keep each other at a distance. But I have seen stuff like, you know, people they do like a live grenade thing there where you get to throw grenades to a course, and I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. So there are people who have this stuff. It's not out of the realm of possibility. But like him just like outrunning bullets and all of this, it really. That's where the movie for me like dips most into like, oh, this is like, you know, this is our unreliable narrator like coming into full swing, where it's just like, oh, okay, is he being pursued by anyone at all? Like
he does have COVID brain at that point.
I was gonna say, COVID delirium has likely set in at that point. He's like a 105 fever.
We saw him hallucinate earlier because he thought he saw his wife, but it was his mother-in-law. That was earlier that same evening. So like he's already in a spot where he's paranoid, doesn't know quite what he's seeing, is pointing guns at people he has no intention of killing because he's just so on edge. Like he's like after he figures out it's his mother-in-law, like he turns away and then he like turns back and is still pointing the gun at her. Like Like, what do you do? You're not going to shoot her. What are you doing, man?
It is a huge piece of foreshadowing there too, having him see her as the wife. Like, oh God, like with the very tail end of the movie, which is just, oh good Lord.
That truck has been around the whole movie though. The black truck at the end. That's like, you see them in the distance when the bomb goes off. That black pickup truck, it drives around the town like throughout the movie.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, the Butterfly had a black pickup truck.
Different truck though, because there's two black pickup trucks, and I think that that's supposed to create like a sense of like, is this the Pueblo cops doing it? Like, yeah, but it's different.
There's a ton of that. There's a ton of like intentional obscuring of who did what. Like, you know, we get the call from the call that Michael does to his uncle. He calls his uncle. He's like, yeah, they got me in here. Like they're making everything up. They're setting me up. And then right after that, we see like
the dumpster fire, and
and it's like, who is it? Who did it? Like, you know, somebody could imagine he has like an ally in the Antifa super soldiers, or it could just be unrelated and his uncle hasn't even gotten there yet. Like, who knows? It could have been a guy who let him out. You know, there's that question there too, where guys like, where it's like, is that your key? And he's like, no, it's not my key. It's not my key. And it's like, well, whose key is it then?
I assumed it was Mike's key just because they took it off of him, but they must have had it somewhere. But
you just don't know. You never get to know that. And so it creates this like, you know, like you said at the very beginning, like the ability to sort of just, any of the characters within the movie can project whatever interpretation they want onto the events, because there's just so much unsurety and lack of fact and active disinformation and narrativizing. Oh, there was something I want to talk about. And I think like there's a line in the like Joe Arpaio speech that Joe Cross gives, where he's wearing the like brown shirt with the white cowboy hat. He's like, you know, we're gonna show you what it means to have justice, or what justice means in Eddington. Like, oh God, like that moment is just like, yep. So this is what justice means in Eddington, which is just chaos, death, noise, racism. Like, it's just so like, okay, here we go. Let's see. Looking at the camera, I'm going to show you what justice is in these small ass towns in America in 2020.
There was something I noticed the second watch through. It's just one scene, but I think Lou has DID, because after when she comes back from, the meeting with the cult, and she locks herself in her bedroom, and he goes out to the patio door and is talking to her through it, she starts referring to herself in the third person. She's like, they told you she can't have stress, that she must not have stress, that she can't slip again. Talking to herself. And then he even says, try to say me, honey, not her.
Oh, I missed that.
And I like, it was just that one scene. And like, it confused me the first time I saw it. And the second time through, when I realized explicitly, okay, she is in fact talking about herself, that I think it was her protective alter coming in and speaking up on her behalf.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because she's been fairly passive in conversation before that, but that was when she was like most vocally forceful. It felt like, and it could just be something else, but like that's I think that was the intention there.
No, I think you're onto something with that. Like that scene is like, I think pretty key to the movie, and also just like it is another one of those like dread setups where it's like, oh, she's 100% right. Like, she is seeing the moment for what it is. Like, you're trying to run for mayor with a guy who's like super aggressive. Like, our lives are going to be hell. There's going to be people here. My mom is like already paranoid. And like, this is like, there's a small like or perfect fulfillment of that when like Butterfly shows up at their house and the mom is freaking out immediately because she thinks, like, she's trying to say, oh, well, the cult showed up, and she's kind of right about that. But then also, like, he's not there for that. And so he's just like, what are you talking about? What's a cult? Like, what are you talking about? I'm here to check on a gun. Yeah, like, she's right.
Which, by the way, there was a gun there that he didn't, it was in the safe, but I don't know if she knew of what was in the safe.
That moment where she says, like, oh, like, this is going to ruin our lives. Like, she's 100% correct. And, like, yeah, I think you're onto something. I think there is, like, a dissociative element, whether it's like understood that way or not, like it's her activating a genuine defense mechanism and having a moment of clarity before she slips in and becomes like the victim of a cult,
because they were the only ones who were validating like the truth of her abuse.
Yeah, they were the only ones, like, or and also maybe the only one who could, like, who she felt like could actually hear it. You know what I mean? Like, without it becoming a entanglement that makes her life worse, right? Because, like...
Right, because it was her father, and her father was the previous sheriff who Joe came up under, so, yeah, like, if she comes out, it doesn't just cause strife within her family, but presumably her father, as the previous sheriff of the county, was seen as, like, a pillar of the community. There's all sorts of that stuff,
Yeah.
I don't even think in the video, like, the video cuts off before we see when she names who her abuser is. I don't think she does. I don't think she goes public. I think she just talks about the abuse in ways that you can put together what happened. But like, again, that is kind of us projecting what we think onto it, which is what a lot of things in this movie are about. It could have been somebody else. She never admits it. Except that it seems fairly likely that it was the father.
I mean, yeah, it does seem like there's evidence pointing to that, but I mean, it could have been anybody, right? Like, the vagueness means that, like, there is no confirmation. And this movie is like that. You get the only confirmation that you get throughout this movie of pretty much anything is that, Joe Cross snaps and kills 3 people plus afterwards. But first he kills 3 people and then it goes downhill from there. And like, that's the only confirmation that we get of anything in this movie, is that this guy's response to being like in an emotional pressure cooker is to blow up and kill people. The first person completely unrelated to his problems, like just a clearly suffering, dying, homeless guy who lives in a desert and is like literally baking to death every day, drinking some alcohol, not able to taste it, having a breakdown in a bar that's definitely insured. And like, he's just like, yeah, I'm going to blow this guy away in cold blood.
Yeah, I kind of thought that there was an interesting element to this as far as like the political environment and like, this movie being so recent and being placed in such recent events and all, like that, like the Joaquin Phoenix is something that we fear in this country. Like, he is the white terrorist that exists in this country all over the place. He is the guy who.
Oh my god! I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Sorry, I was on a tear and I got distracted.
No, you're good.
But like he is the same as the guy who leaves a bomb at the Planned Parenthood. Like, he is the mass shooter. And so we are like experiencing like that sort of dread through the whole film as he is constantly being emasculated and he wants this sense of control. And he continuously tries to assert that by like withholding his power, by like not removing the homeless guy, or like, going and trying to turn the music off, just like physically intervening in things when that's not appropriate and like entering onto property when it's not appropriate. And then he like totally snaps at the end. And so I just think that there was a bigger point that I was driving toward, but that I got most of it out.
No, I think you got it. Like, I was just making a joke about the fact that you said Joaquin Phoenix is the white man that we all fear. I'm like,
yeah.
I think Joe Cross might be, but I guess he kind of is in some ways.
I forget
he
the names.
also played Joker. But
yeah, that's true.
I was going through some Reddit comments on Eddington, and like somebody described like Joe Cross as like the scariest villain that Joaquin Phoenix has ever played, and I'm like, he played Commodus. I would be far more scared of Commodus than Joe Cross. Like,
yeah,
like Commodus is like, when I think of the most despicable villains in all of cinema, he's right up there. So I think Joe Cross is a more sympathetic person.
Yeah, but it's a familiar kind of scary. And so, yeah, I guess what I was ultimately trying to drive toward is that like he as a cop and like as a white man and all this, like the first violence that he feels is acceptable is against like a vulnerable member of his community who like, and there's the neoliberal failure of like, Ted Garcia is the mayor. What's been going on as far as why is there not a place for this man to be right now? Like, why is there not a
homeless
service?
guy in town?
The one homeless man in town, and he's super mentally unstable, and that's uncomfortable, and it obviously is uncomfortable, and like it's difficult to deal with. But yeah, that is the first casualty of this, and that no one sticks up for him.
Not even at the protest, where
not
these
even
people
at the protest
are all about social justice, but they're just scared of him and like trying to like when he shows up, it kind of causes them to disperse a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one guy who was doing such a good job of de-escalating with Joe, who was like, we actually do have a right. And I thought that was a great character. And like, that is somebody who exists at protests often, is like somebody who's trained in de-escalation. And Joe blows past him to go start beef with his rival's kid.
Yeah.
That guy's a little punk instigator.
That's true. But he was just standing there, and Joe did blow past like a negotiator who was willing to be reasonable.
It's like, I think it's another example, of like the projection that we see with Mike is like this, homeless guy who's black. And like, there's this social.
Black.
I think it was just real dirty.
Yeah, he was dirty.
Okay, well, no, because there's a part where they go. There's a part where there's a Instagram post, right? And
Clifton Collins Jr. was the actor who played him. He's very white.
Oh, okay. Well,
he was just dirty.
Never mind then.
Editing Fesh here with a quick correction. I called Clifton Collins very white. He is in fact Hispanic, but still not black.
I thought that I remembered there being a post where they were comparing it to like George Floyd, because they were like, cop brutalizes local like marginalized person or something like that. But maybe they're just referring to homeless.
I think they were just going with the police brutality period.
Yeah, that makes sense. Even still, like the societal narratives being applied to people who can't represent or don't have the opportunity to represent themselves is like, again, it's sort of recurring all the way to the end. And we see it like turned around most, like, I wouldn't say most darkly, but like most blatantly on Joe himself at the end, where he literally can't say anything and is being used as a literal prop for someone else's politics. Mm-hmm. In a way that like you can't even feel really bad for him, because you're just like, oh man, like this guy, that he sustained this brain injury in the middle of a killing spree in his small town. It's just wild. But yeah, I think this movie does a really good job of summarizing like 2020 and the like years immediately following 2020. And something you said at the beginning, Moss, I think was that like you don't see a whole lot of media that's like really about periods like that because of like, or that's like contemporary because of like how much it gets like repressed. There's a lot of like COVID era media that references it or has like one-off jokes, but it's true that I haven't
Like
seen.
Glass Onion.
Yeah. There's like pieces of it where it's like, yeah, they do like, there's like the spray and there's lots of references to it and pieces that touch on it. But like, I don't know that
That's
I've
just
seen.
incidental. That's not about
Yeah.
it.
Or it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's placed in this time and there's references that show that this is what's going on. You know, lots of movies have made mask jokes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But this is like the first movie I think that I've seen that really tries to like encapsulate the moment and all of its madness and all of its fury and all of the like incomprehensibility to any one person that you look at that person and see what they're trying to think about and like how does anybody process any of that regardless of your perspective. And the answer is you don't. And some people who are empowered with all previously empowered already are going to like burst out with violence and hurt other people who aren't empowered. That dynamic seems to not change.
That is true.
I was surprised to see that this movie like got like not very good reviews.
Did it not?
Like on like aggregators like Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic and stuff like that, which I mean obviously those things are worth almost nothing, but I am always surprised when I see a movie that is like so well made and well acted and also very clear in like what it's talking about that just doesn't get received well. But like Beau is Afraid, it makes sense to me that there are bad reviews for Beau is Afraid, even though like I feel like if you approach the movie, you can kind of get what it's talking about if you approach it like with a clear mind and not like
I mean, we had a bad review of Beau is Afraid on our podcast.
I said in the group chat that the more I think about it, the more I kind of get it.
That's what I'm saying.
I do not want to rewatch it because I felt bad, so I'm like I can appreciate it as art.
I'm not casting shade on you. For that.
I'm not even.
I'm just updating everybody.
You did open the review by saying I had a fucking terrible week, and I feel like that might have impacted how I felt about this movie. That's just what I'm saying. I'm just all I'm trying to say is that like I think that Beau is Afraid is a movie that's like you can get it when if you just take a little time to meet the movie where it's at. However, I understand why it got bad reviews because it is like aimed at a lot of the like movie viewing habits of this time. It is designed to intentionally tread on some of the common trends in movies that are like popular right now. So it's meant to kind of piss people off a little bit and push their buttons. I get that. This movie did not feel like that, and so I was really surprised to see that it had like such an like a middling response. And I don't know.
I feel like it makes sense.
I think it makes sense that it has a middling response. Like I said, I needed a second watch before I was sure if I liked it.
Well, I mean, it ties back into what I said earlier, which is that there's sympathetic characters sometimes, but like every character has something wrong with them. And because this tries to represent all the different sides and everybody has something bad about them. So no matter who you empathize with in this movie, there is something bad about that group. Like you either identify with the sentiments of the college students and you think that they're cringe the whole movie and you feel bad and you're like, why is this so awkward the whole time? Or you sympathize with Joe, but you can see that the movie does kind of clearly say that Joe is wrong, that COVID is real, that he, as an asthmatic with a CPAP, should be taking precautions. Or you like Ted Garcia and you think he's correct about the masking, but then also he ignores those rules and is kind of a dick in general.
He's an asshole to his kid all the time
and everybody else around him.
And everybody else,
He's
he
like
has like a asshole.
Big party at his place and is like, oh yeah, no, this gathering's totally fine, even though we're
taking temperatures at the door. Yeah.
It is, and I guess you're right. I think you're right, Moss. Like I think that's probably it. It's the fact that like as much as like you can project your own read onto the movie, I think it's also possible that you interpret the movie as criticizing you. And it does like take shots at like liberals and lefties, like pretty hard, ones that made me laugh really, really hard. The part where like the like kid, he like Googles Angela Davis and then like he goes home and he's like ranting to his parents about
his
like
dad's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're white, dumbass.
Yeah, and then he's like, yeah, and it's just like there's just like the part where like the like what's her name, Sarah or whatever,
Sarah,
her name is Sarah. She's like, you said you were anti-racist and like you know, I wish I was anti-racist. I'm maybe white critical, but, you know, like this like weird couching of language where it's just like everybody knows what you're trying to say. Just be anti-racist. It's fucking
When
fine. No one
Brian
cares.
was like, I have no place to say anything, which is why after I'm done making this speech, I'm going to take a step back. Like,
yeah,
what
it
the
was
fuck?
so good. That was just like, oh my God, that was, I said, like, when that line happened, I'm like, this is like a Bo Burnham bit.
Legitimately.
Yeah,
oh
It was
my God.
100% a Bo Burnham bit. And I was just like, oh man, it was so perfect. I think you're right. I think it is like, there's so much that's like hitting so many different points of like, that it is just spot on without feeling like too overly stereotypical at any point. I think it could be interpreted by a lot of people as like, oh, well, so this movie is like anti-mask or something or whatever, or oh, this movie is anti-whatever, where it's more like, nah, like this movie is talking about the like derangement that people are inflicting on each other and on themselves, and this failure of a society to raise to the moment. Yeah, and I guess for that to finish off that thought, like I'll go back to the point at the beginning, like the old man getting heckled at the store. The old man is like obviously being a stupid dick and an asshole, but it's like it's one old man.
And there's protocols for, you know, okay, well, you tell us what you want, we'll go and get it, and then you can pay out here.
Yeah.
You know, like there was a way to handle that. They didn't have to manhandle them.
Gracefully.
Yeah,
And
it's
like,
just like
he had his cart, and then Joe just bought his groceries for him. So like,
Yeah.
there was a way to solve that without, you know, being cruel to people, without the entire
Exactly.
place applauding because that guy couldn't get his
And
groceries.
everybody clapped.
Yeah.
yeah, everybody clapped. Literally, it's just like
I was going to
again,
crawl out of my skin. It was so embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. And it's just like, but it is also like, it's like a real thing you can imagine happening where you're just kind of like, does anybody actually feel good about this? Did this really solve anything for anyone? Like, it's just a bunch of people given a new proxy to like vent out their hatred and resentments at one another and their general like discontent. And it's like that seemed to be a recurring theme in the movie.
I think the line that endeared Joe most to me, even though like I was disagreeing with what he was arguing for, was just that that's not how we treat people here. That obviously he's being a whiny little bitch about the masks, but like he's still trying to come at it from a place of care for other people.
Yeah, which is so weird because it's like your job is to like enforce the law. Yeah. And you're just repeatedly breaking it and encouraging people to break it and creating cover for people to break it and
massive
arguing about whether it's actually the law or not.
Yeah.
All in the name of like, oh, we all just want to live our lives normally, which is cringe, and I hate it.
Yeah, and I think it's like we see him become a cop in full towards the end, where at first he's just kind of like, this is the position I've fallen into. I'm just getting my salary, man. Like there's so like, again, just like he's like not heckling the kids over the weed. Like he's ignoring stuff all the time. Like he doesn't care about any of the rules.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
Yeah, it's just like he doesn't seem to be like particularly motivated by the law in any real way. It's just like a job to him. He happens to be a cop. And then like later he's like, oh, well, now I need to use this to hurt people. It's yeah.
He's so bad at it, apparently, too. If Ted Garcia is to be believed, he's not good at managing his
He's only got 3 people for an entire county now, and like because he lost a whole bunch of people, and it's just hasn't been able to get replacements. He mismanaged that office. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. And so it is like, I think there's like that, oh, this isn't how we treat people here. And it's like, on one hand, it totally is. That's the town. The town is just a place where everyone seems to be immiserating one another, and they're not making each other happy or helping each other out. But on the other hand, it's like what he's trying to reach for is like a sense of basic like decency, which is like naive at best, but also like you understand where he's coming from. And then also like how it gets obliterated. We see that one part just like disappear. He just kills that part of himself. And it's messed up. And I certainly think that it feels like I've seen almost some version of every character in this movie in my life through the last like 5 years. You've met every person, every one of these people. And it's just like, oh man, they did a good job of capturing the arcs that people took through the pandemic and everything like that.
I know Ari Aster started writing this in June 2020, so he was definitely able to capture the zeitgeist because he was writing it as it was happening.
Deep in it.
Yeah, deep in it. Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't know, there was like so much of this movie just made me think of like the way like streaming and YouTube has unfolded in recent years. And how much it mirrors this, like, people taking up like heavily charged political things to like ultimately figure out their own problems or sort out their own like conflicts with other people that are like on different axes, but like in order to get people on your side or leverage it, you like invoke all this politics. I don't know, it was making me think of that a lot, where I'm just like, I think that's something that characterizes the moment a bit, this like, I don't know, like a cynical participation in like mass media political trends as like a vehicle for your personal grievances and conflicts. And it's like, I think that people have always done that to a certain degree, but there's like a new charged level with the media atmosphere that we live in, where it's just like people can reach so many other people and like it can just become such a thing. Like, I mean, I don't know, you think about the way like internet drama unfolds, you know, it's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know, some streamer has a gripe with their neighbor and all of a sudden there's 1 million people watching this and participating in it and having opinions on it. That's demented. Yeah. And it does weird things. You get those moments of like, you know, where Joe Cross has his phone. He's like, I'm recording this, by the way. Or when he's at the protest, he was like, I didn't mean to, you know, I didn't mean to rough up your phone. I was just trying to calm things down. Like,
and that didn't even make the news until after, what was it? Because like it broke on CNN after something else happened. I'm trying to remember what exactly it was.
I don't know what the event was. I think it was. I think it was after the death of Ted Garcia.
Was it?
Right? Because that was when the national attention got on, because there was like this big high profile murder or whatever.
Yeah. Because I think the headline said like,
Joe
framed BLM in town rocked by murders. So okay.
Yeah, he tried to frame BLM.
Ladies and gentlemen, and what have you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was interesting that Joe said that at the beginning of his, I'm declaring that I'm running for mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, and what have you.
Oh, that's nice of him.
Yeah. It's the first thing I took a note on.
One last hat tip to wokeness.
It's like Biden's response of there's at least 3.
Yeah. The murder hornets also, Lamau. Like somebody was scrolling through Twitter and it said something about the murder hornets.
That's right. Yeah, in between all of the black squares. Yeah.
I will just say, I guess my last thing on this movie is just like, I think the performances in this movie were phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. So good.
Joaquin Phoenix, Emma Stone, Pedro Pascal, all of them killed it. It was great. So I love the performances. I thought they were all unique, and I really, especially Joaquin Phoenix in this lead role, like following so close on the heels of Bo with a character that could have easily been too much like that to just a character that's just so different. They're just different.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. The parallel that he has asthma the whole time and can't breathe, and the background of George Floyd. Sorry. That's the parallel I just noticed.
You're right.
Okay. That was all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. That has been the Ari Aster season.
Damn.
Next up, we are going back to the future of Star Trek. We're going to be doing the TNG movies. So look forward to that. That'll be fun. Until next time, I've been Gayfesh.
I'm Moss.
I'm DemonMama.
And we'll see ya in the future. Bye.
Bye.